nalembi komona bapasi ya boye nalembi koloba natasela miso yo matipona nino wanga ninga boye pase simbinga motema mama alingi boye lokutana ya mabe mama masumu double Olinga moto zali lisumu te pona nino driblenga boye yormato Baemba balemina koyemba likolo na yo tika enzongoma Bapesaka motema ndenge nini yormao double
In the program ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. Today is Tuesday, October the 17th, 2023. And it feels great to be back as always. I just want to take this time to say thank you to the Almighty God for giving us the chance to see another day. And Father God, want to say thank you, want to magnify your name. Blessed be your holy name forever. In the name of Jesus, we've given thanks. Some heard the name, some heard people talk about him. You've gotten the opportunity tonight to match the face, name, and voice. The mastermind, the doctor of law, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio, Africa's media, Dobido, the extraordinaire. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. Grazie tu kwa yege, zebon blow that and jaku me chileji. You wouldn't know muzo, no one je mad double to jai, ayo adiwapo. I'm ASHFORD GARLEY. Welcome to the show. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my panelists, starting out with the Reverend Idatus Added. Added, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Greetings to all of you Liberians and you esteemed panelists, ASHFORD. It's a pleasure to be back once more. Thank you.
A big brother and a friend. We go back over 40 years, and he's an educator, a man, a fearless man, the man that doesn't take mess. But I'm telling you, he's a loving father, the husband, and of course, a grandparent as well. The king himself, Blancanjir Jackson. Hello, big brother.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for inviting me to the show, and I want to extend my greetings to all my fellow Liberians who will be watching and who are also watching.
Okay, Stani, give us some menu as it relates to politics in Liberia.
Well, the race is becoming more interesting. The last time we heard the election commissioner pronounce the results, Weka was in the lead now. Our President George Weah. You know, the Honorable Joseph Boyga then was in the lead. Now it's President George Weah in the lead. They both announced puts him at 43.79%, while the Honorable Joseph Boyga is at 49%. George Weah had a net total vote of 791,666, whilst the Honorable Vice President Joseph Yuma Boyka had 786,205 votes. So it is quite competitive. Others are stating that a second round is inevitable, while others are asking for a recount to authenticate the legitimacy of these reportings. So the debate in the media is quite clear that there are some who believe that the Unity Party is best positioned to be able to take on the incumbent President George Weah in the next elections, should it be held in the next 30 days. And there are those who are also stating, quite frankly, that since President Weah happens to be in the lead at this time, he might be going to these second rounds with a reasonable lead of between 3,000 to 7,000 votes. But that being said, others are inspiring their bases to get ready for these elections. And hopefully, winner takes all will be our reality in the next 30 days or more.
Well, Mr. Jackson, you are no stranger when it comes to Liberian politics. I mean, from your early days, from Tottenham High to the University of Liberia, and you yourself as a grassroots, tell us about the faith of the opposition. Are they going to rally around Ambassador Boycott in case we go to the second round, or we are going to see a repeat of what happened in 2017 when Brunskin said to his supporters, you can go and vote for who you want to vote for, and Alexander Cummings went and told his supporters to do the same. Are we going to see the repeat of what happened in 2017, or would the opposition come together if they all think that George Weah is the elephant in the room?
Thank you, Mr. Garley. I don't believe the voters are going to rally around one person as it was in the past when Bromskin said be on your own and Cummings said everybody should be on his own. The reason is that what we're seeing here is that the voters that queued to cast their votes, they were resolved to remove the CDC government. In the past, the chemistry you saw, that was not a chemistry. It was like a free ride. But what happened was that they had gotten fed up. But you know, when it comes to poverty, the way politics runs, you have to be strategic. You subject the people to poverty so that when you give them a little bit, they come on your side. But I do not see, even if Comey says go on your own, people are all already disgruntled with the CDC, and 100% may not go. But I don't rule out the fact that some may go. You know, that's where I stand. I still see that the people who voted, they voted of their own volition. It was not based on platform or somebody who they liked. Like it wasn't a past. It's going to be different.
Well, that was in 2017. President George Weah, at the time, in the opposition, came at what, 38% against Joseph Boyka at 27%. He's struggling neck to neck at 43% each. And George Weah claims he's doing everything well. And he's still struggling with the opposition in the difference of 121 votes. Come on, man. What is going on? So have the Liberian been resolved according to Logan J? Are they tired and say, you know what? This guy has to go. He doesn't mean well for the country. What is going on?
Well, quite frankly, if I were President Weah, I will obviously retract my statement that I'm doing very well. What we see from these numbers reported is that he has not been able to retain or obtain 50% of the Liberian people's support for his leadership. He's under 50% as an incumbent. So that's a challenge. It's good for the Honorable Vice President Joseph Boyka, who is not the incumbent, who doesn't have money, but clearly the people of Liberia are resolved to carrying him as their next leader of this country. So the difference is very clear. If I were George Weah, I would be worried. If I am Joseph Boyka, in the absence of other political parties, I'm best positioned to replace President George Weah, and hopefully he will be replaced, as I'm cautiously optimistic about this reality.
Mr. Jackson, you said the people were resolved. They're tired. They want to see CDC go away. Despite the voter intimidation, we saw the few deaths prior to the election. The people still came out in their numbers. But why the opposition didn't flat out win in the first round? Why are they struggling with the incumbent based on what you just said, that the people are tired with George Weah?
Well, as you all can see, or you all have seen, an incumbent that doesn't win with a good number and he's going neck to neck with the opposition is a signal that you're not favored as you were before. Now, opposition itself didn't do their homework well. I hate to say they didn't work well. They were complacent, because what we see unfolding when it comes to the counting of votes, it tells me that the opposition, they were not politicians. They are speech makers. They are advocates for freedom, but they are not strategists. That is what I see, because 50-50, neck to neck. So why is it that someone who has all the resources, who has all the wherewithal to make things happen, to push money around, is still struggling? So I believe had opposition gone a step further, the whole story would have changed. That's the way I kind of analyze the whole situation.
And Idatus, we've discussed this on several episodes on Ashford Garley Live and Bridge Radio Africa, calling for opposition unity. You know, we've asked you guys, would there be a unity within the opposition in case we go to the second round? Do you still believe that we'll have a unified opposition as we tackle George Weah in the runoff?
There are several things that the opposition needs to become unified around, such as the rampant corruption in the government, the extra killings of innocent civilians, the poor competence of leadership by this government. In the words of Mr. Alexander Cummings, our democracy is quite frankly threatened. Our peace is shaky. In the words of Tiawan Gongolo, he stated very clearly, Liberia is in the ICU. So if nothing binds us together, this reality must become the common harmony that we can all work together and take back this country from this level of incompetence in this government. So I'm highly optimistic when I listen to the Honorable Alexander Cummings. He stated here in Philadelphia that he's willing to support whoever wins. I also listened to Tiawan Gonglo. He made a similar statement. So if Mr. Cummings has told us that he is the change, but unfortunately not this time, and George Weah is not the change, I expect nothing less from him but to join in one voice and be on one accord to replace this government. That is quite frankly a disaster for our country.
And I will pose that same question to you, Blancanje. Do you rather see the unified opposition as we prepare ourselves to go to the second round? But just before you answer, hey, Leo Johnson, my man, I've been trying to reach you. Take my number down and inbox me. Let me give you the link. I need you on the show tonight. It's been a long time, Leo. That's my friend and brother from Canada. The number is 267 248 5295. Leo, that number again is 267 248 5295. Inbox me. Let me send you the link. Blancanje, let us talk about opposition unity.
Yeah, Ashford. I do not believe, or we will have opposition unity 100%. I don't believe it.
And what's that?
It could be like maybe 50%, 25%. Because initially we have been preaching this thing about opposition unity. Let us get together and move on and have our goals accomplished. It hasn't happened. And now what we see here is that the opposition, they went to the polls in splinters, and the numbers they got are just infinitesimal degrees to the whole. And so, Brother Ade is saying that we should use as our trump cards the bad governance. He listed a lot of issues. Of course, they are all true, but I don't believe those were the reasons for which people voted, because people said those things and they spoke about them on radio. No, the reason people voted basically was they felt the pain, they lived it. Not that they heard it, they lived the ripples of the governance that the CDC gave them. And because they lived it, you can talk from now to Judgment Day. They already know what they're going to do.
What, Mr. Jackson, just before that, bringing you that, if you say you don't believe or you don't think there will be opposition unity, then why are they fighting George Weah? Why don't they leave this man to just take the country for the next 6 years? Why are they fighting? Because if you believe that this guy is not doing well, if you believe that this guy is not sophisticated enough to lead our country, and you as an opposition cannot come together to unseat this guy, then what's the essence of going through these fights?
So what I'm saying is that even if they came together tomorrow and said, look, gentlemen, let us get together, let us fight, it's not going to make much impact. The reason for which those votes unfolded was because the people felt the situation, they lived it. So it will be left with the people, and now with any group of opposition leaders coming together and say, hey, there was secret killing, hey, there was this and that. It is something that is intrinsic within the people. So if somebody thinks that because Baka, Cummings, they all are coming together to say, today we're going to support, yeah, it's going to help. But again, as said, as a mathematician, it's going to be at an infinitesimal degree. What's going to happen is the people's own intellect, the way they live it, the experience. That is what going to make them to vote. But it's not somebody saying, you're going to say, you don't going to say. The people already know what they're going to do. So what opposition needs to do is to be more strategic. And I don't want to let my cat out of the bag. They should be more strategic. They weren't. If they were strategic, we wouldn't have gotten at this stage, but they were not strategic. That's what I can say.
That is the arrogance of the Unity Party. The Liberian minister, the baby ain't born, the eyeball big.
Mm.
You not see woman, you take her trouser. They were all over the place. That we winning this in the first round. We don't need help from anybody. Are you afraid that what happened within the opposition will have some impact as you guys go to the second round, where Cummings was dragged in the court by Bernard Urine, and Borka went to testify against Cummings, and the back and forth between the ANC and the Unity Party? Are you afraid that there's going to have some impact on your possible win against Joshua in the second round?
So let me be very clear, Ashford. I will not discount whether or not bad blood exists, but every peace-loving Liberian that currently sees where the numbers are, let's be clear: we dig in the past and compromising the integrity of our nation's future because of a past grudge will not help us now. There's one thing we are all very united around, is that George Weah is not the change we expected. And that is why we came together, be it in splinter form. At the moment with these numbers, there are two contestants in these races. Every opposition leader now should be in some way, shape, or form engaging to ensure that Liberia is rescued. Now, to my friend and brother who stated it's not by telling the people what their pain is. No, opposition leaders are living on the ground. Those who are campaigning for the Unity Party are grassroots. They understand the plight that they are going through. Leaders that are in political parties are just championing the cause for the change that we desire in that nation we call our common patrimony. So let's be very clear. The people know their plight. Our opposition know their plight. Mr. Cummings is quite frankly financially comfortable. He could live anywhere, but he also understands the plight of the Liberian people. Tier 1 Gongla is the same thing. Dr. Maniba understands that. But at the moment, the reality that is before us may not be a recount, but a second round, or a recount in a second round. We need the unity necessary to move our country for the greater good of the people of Liberia, unless we're in this for ourselves. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, Mr. Cummings was angry yesterday in his speech. Others will refer to his speech as a concession speech, but it was a speech meant to tell the Liberian people that a change is coming. He said the people are so smart in a way where it makes it hard for you to trace where these numbers were coming from. So he's not happy with the way things went, starting off from October 10th, and I don't see a Cummings not supporting Boyka. I don't see a Cummings sitting on the sideline and say, you know what, let my people go vote for themselves. I think he will have a say in this because we need to stop these people. This nonsense started in 2017 when you go to the poll to vote, you voted at this precinct, and the next thing you know, it shows up zero. It continued. Now we're seeing it in 2023. If we don't stop these people, these gangsters, these criminals, I'm afraid our country will be in the disarray for a long time.
And I agree with you. You have your views, but where I disagree is that stopping the quote unquote criminals, etc., is that a Big Bang theory? Because the game plan unfolded gradually, but the opposition was not strategic. Now I'm going to say what I mean. They were not strategic. They allowed it to creep little by little until now it has gotten up to their noses. Now, for instance, you have an elections commission chairperson who was caught in corruption, gave contract to someone who was her brother. The person didn't complete the work. It was proving, it was clearing. Opposition did not protest. They did not say anything. That was a point for them to insist. To insist. Well, maybe I'm talking like a top harbor or soup person. Well, I mean, sorry.
Right.
It's just part of me. I wanted to be so cool on this show. They should have insisted because she had lost credibility. We all knew that they all knew that she was not honest. She wasn't. After all of what went on, and they still entrusted her with their fate today, and then they want to change it. And then a lot of things unfolded. A lot of things unfolded during the elections. You know, where there were news of people trying to manipulate numbers. When she called the first numbers, they had their tally sheet. They should have said, "No, madam, what you read yesterday," but they sat there and they waited, and they are saying that everything that she read was wrong. But she didn't read all of those things within a day's time. She read those things gradually. You allowed it to creep. Now at this point, to change it as a Big Bang or theory is going to be like protesting and chaos and what have you. So what I'm saying is that, look, opposition, after the chairperson had an issue, they refused to come together. They had a CPP that broke up, and Musa Ability all of them. Musa Ability went and took Liberty Party after Jalen has sold the party to him, and now they start to straighten out things. So everything that's happening, in my view, is a making of the opposition. They were not strategic, and that is why today they want to change it abruptly. Even at the 11th hour, when the lady was counting the ballots, and Spoon TV was also counting, they should have said, "Hey, madam, stop right there. You're not calling the right numbers." But here we are. So I still feel that because it was not strategic, and even if the drawing up, it's fine. But I think Appleton, where is April? He appears to be a non-entity, but he is somebody that they need to talk to because he has a lot of votes. But all of those 0.01, 0.03, yeah, it will help. But they need Appleton. They need to be strategic. That's what I say. They weren't. That's how I analyze the whole stuff.
All right,
so let me just verify.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
You guys knew what you're going into. You knew that the chairperson of the election commission has integrity issue.
A shady character. And you give your left to her.
Where she giving her brother a contract, inflicting the numbers. This lady refused to clear the voter roll. You knew about all this.
Exactly.
And you knew that things they were doing were out of line. And you still went into the competition. Are you just going to be one of those? It's going to be one of those days where you just sit there and crowd foul play?
And actually, let me add another one.
Okay.
I think the European Union Committee, they came up with a press release that this government was using the resources of the country to campaign. That was wrong. They did not say anything. Where are they going to say anything about that? They should have said, stop. All the votes that they acquired, not involved because they went against the law. They did not say anything. Now they're going to say they're going to have a whole list of complaints. Who's going to listen to that? So they keep themselves below the belt. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, I did this. You can cut me now.
Okay, so Bunga J, let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Most of your statements assume that we're operating with the government of dignity. Unfortunately, not. But let me list some things that we've done in protesting legally against this government, such as, for example, the census. We complain about the census. Did you truly expect this government to have yielded to the dignity of the census? It didn't happen. It was underfunded. They came back and said, oh, we're going to do the biometric. In the middle of the game, they canceled that. We've protested these things as evidenced by number one. Mr. Alexander Cummings went to court. What did he say? He went to court for the fact that you've just conducted a census and you are about to go to elections, and we don't know how many people voting from Congo Town. We don't know how many people voting from Nuku Town. He lost the case. We had to go to court protesting for them to give us the rate of Matamus, okay, compelling them to release the final voters roll. We are not dealing with a normal government. This government is not normal. We're in difficult times. So people are often stating, you know, we got to respect the rule of law, and we're doing our best to apply and respect the rule of law. Do we expect anything different? Look at the FRR. They were supposed to release that to us 15 days before elections. When did they release that to us? 2.4 million names, 5,890 precincts. What time a real serious political party will have time to distribute 2.4 million names to 590 polling places that got different precincts? But we were able to endure that because we respect the rule of law. We believe in democracy. So we are fighting for the greater good of the country in spite of the odds that are against us. It's not that we were not or have not been strategic. The Unity Party successfully was able to supply over 13,000 poll watchers, 2 people to a poll watcher. We couldn't carry the brunt of the burden. This is a grassroots movement of the people of Liberia who are bent on relieving themselves from this leadership that is corrupt, incompetent, and just doesn't care about the well-being of the Liberian people. So are there some lessons we can learn from this first round? Certainly. We will be more protective of the votes. We are encouraging all of our supporters to volunteer whether or not we have money to protect these votes if we have to go for the second round, as it's likely to happen, so that this can be a reality. So let's be very clear. You are not working with a normal government. Look at what happened in Saniquele, with Yelu, Garrison Yelu. Look at what happened at the SPB. Look at what happened in Cape now. So we are not working with a normal government that has a legal political process to be able to run to court to make a difference. We are fighting the best we can, better yet, with our hands behind our back.
Before I bring in Fuller, what is abnormal about this government?
Corruption is exceptionally abnormal for a president that builds 48 houses in less than 3 months. What is abnormal about this government are the several killings that happened and they were uninvestigated and reported to the Liberian people. What is abnormal about this government is the fact that they removed Kabina Janet and he went to ECOWAS court and they refused to put him back in his position. What is abnormal about this government is that you got sanctioned officials still working with him. What is abnormal about this government is that a president knew full well that Mr. McGill is sanctioned, but it took the people's pressure for him to finally relieve him from the job. What is abnormal about this government is a waste of time to go to court to even fight for your land. You get cheated in the process. So our judicial system under this government has become a wreck. And unfortunately, it's sad to say, but we are operating in a very failed system that we're looking to change.
And the NEC certificated the sanctioned officials, and opposition did not take any stance.
No, we did. We criticized that.
But it still went ahead. You should have been consistent.
Gentlemen,
you should have been consistent, but I mean, it just died.
Hold on, gentlemen.
I feel so frustrated,
What folks, if you just joining us, this is ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. Leo, I still haven't seen that that text from you. That again, the number was just sent on the screen there: 267-248-5295. Let me bring you my brother, Wilbert Foley. Foley, it's been a long time, my man. The election is over, and tell us your take about the just in the election in Liberia.
Well, Hello, everyone. How you doing? ASHFORD, Pastor Idatu, and everyone else on the show. Yes, I have been away. School is open. School is now open. Uh, I work as a math teacher in one of the high schools in Philadelphia, so I've been a little busy, and I've been doing some other things. So when I leave from school, I bring teaching. You bring the work back home, and then in addition to that, I'm doing something else because of some project that I'm working on here in America. But what I find very surprising about this recently recent release results for NEC is that when you go to elections, you look at exit poll. The exit poll tells you most times tells you who's going to win. And after the election, when the results were being announced, almost I would say about 75% of the polling results in Monserrato, the ones that were released, Joseph Baca was leading. Omer Baca was leading. So for things to have gone so slow in a country with just little over 2 million voters, and especially Liberia, where NEC can have all the results in less than 2 days, despite the bad rules, NEC can't have the results in less than 2 days. I was in Liberia the 2017 elections, especially the second round. NEC had all the results. We did not need to go this far. We did not need to go this long. So it got me scratching my head. How? Why this long? And besides, we're talking about 2 point something million qualified voters, and you have 100. I believe it's 117,000 disqualified ballots. That's too high. Where are those ballots coming? Where are the majority of the ballots coming from? These are things we need to know. Where are they coming from? Which region the bulk of them are coming from? So these are questions that the Unity Party should be asking. And I heard the issue of someone talking about Abaton. To be frank, I follow Liberian politics diligently. I have not heard that name. So at this time, for us to be hearing this man has more votes than Gonglo, more votes than Cummins. My brother, these are questions we should ask.
Thank you.
Are those manufacturer votes?
Thank you.
These are questions we should be asking.
Thank you. Let us bring in Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts. Mrs. Roberts, hello to welcome to the show.
Good evening, Mr. Garley. How are you all?
Good. Better than good. Go ahead.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
It's great to be here. I'm enjoying listening to the gentleman. I'm just trying to get home, and I will join you shortly.
Okay. Let us welcome Mr. Leo Johnson from Canada, my Liberian brother who is highly knowledgeable when it comes to Liberian politics. He's not new to this show. He's not new to the microphone. As a matter of fact, he's doing some great things in Liberia. Leo, welcome to the show. We're discussing results after these elections in Liberia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ASHFORD, and I appreciate being on here. Everybody, greetings to all of you. Know some of the faces on here and everybody. So good to see you all.
Okay. What are your thoughts about a possible second round between Joseph Boycott and George Ware?
Yeah, I have to say I'm not surprised. There was no way, based on all my little analysis that I know and that I did, there was no way any one of the candidates would have won a first round. And I'll give you a few of the reasons. One of the reasons was that none of them were doing the work that it takes to win a first round, if that is something that's possible. None of the candidates, including JNB, including President Weah and everybody else. And let me say what I meant by that. If you look at the 2017 or 2016 elections, whichever way you want to put it, you will notice that ASHFORD, JNB performed extremely well in Nimba and Lofa. In fact, close to 90% in Lofa, extremely well. And because those counties are vote-rich counties, it kind of catapulted him right, to the place to go to George Ware's second round. What he didn't do this time around, in my opinion, was he failed to increase the chances of that number by going in areas he didn't do well. One of those areas was the Southeast. Opposite George Weah did. President Weah went into Lofa, realized that he can never win JNB in Lofa, but actually realized that he could cut down the numbers. And that was a key strategy because you're looking to pull the numbers from wherever it takes. So JNB United Party failed in solidifying Lofa County and then branching out in territories where even if you won 5,000 extra votes that you did not win. My question is, in the whole United Party apparatus, are there nobody from the southeastern side that could have been leveraged, like how George Weah leveraged the Thomas Fala, the Jefferson Kojis, and everyone from Lofa, who are actually sons of Lofa County as well? Were there no one in the United Party? That's something left for the United Party people to answer.
No, but Leo, the folks from the United Party may argue that you're wrong because the running mate to JB went to the southeast.
And when did he go?
And prior to the elections, and we also saw James Barney, and these guys were very forceful. They were formidable. They went and started to speak on behalf of their candidate, and I think they did extremely well. Did it work for them?
But not as compared to the way Thomas Fowler went there and he lives there.
I was just about to say to you, Ashford, they went there last minute. It was a last
exactly
effort. Thomas Fowler, Jefferson Cody, all these guys have been working for over 2 years.
Yes.
In Lofa, going there with the people. You don't win the hearts of the people, Ashford, 2 weeks to the election or 2 months to the election. It's not going to work. So in my opinion, it felt like the Southeast was abandoned. And President Weah also, in my opinion, didn't do the type of campaign. There was no organized campaign. People were just moving around to actually win the first round.
I will leave you there as I bring in Reverend Addy because I said the same thing. I said Joseph Yuman Boyka, for the 12 years he served as vice president, I never saw him making the move in the Southeast. And perhaps he went there when he was LPMC boss or agriculture boss, But for you to just sit down, you saw the works that Thomas Fowler did in Lofa, and he did it where, So let us bring in you that decided to spend on that.
Excellent. Right. So I think what Leo is missing is Thomas Fowler was using government resources to work in Lofa as opposed to Joseph Boyka, who was a private citizen. So that's a big difference. Secondly, let's be clear. It was stated earlier that we never went to the Southeast. Jeremiah Kuhn went to Grand Cru, and then he went to Sino County. That's a fact. So let's clarify that rumor. Secondly, let's be very clear. Individuals don't build country. Talking about Thomas Fowler, how much money does he make within the Senate to be putting out the infrastructure he did? Jefferson Koji, how much money are they making? So now Joseph Boyka in his private life is supposed to compete. Unfortunately, he could not because these people have looted resources. So let's be clear, the Honorable Joseph Boyka has name recognition, and that is why, quite frankly, he's done well in his own hometown as compared to George Weah in his own hometown. Let's look at the votes that he got compared to George Weah in his, or Mr. Boyka in his hometown. So let's be very clear and factual with the information.
That's not what Leo said.
Hold on.
You actually misquoting me, but I'll actually come back. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Jackson, please hold on as he concludes.
Okay, sorry, brother. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Leo, certainly CDC has made tremendous investment in Lofa, but don't also forget that investment has not paid off for them, and as evidenced by the fact that they could not run in their own name to win a Senate seat. They went behind an independent. Secondly, as I stated, Thomas Fowler and Jefferson Koji used government resources to influence the people, unlike Joseph Boyka, who's been president. And in fact, the Lofa Road went there. His administration signed for the money to start the construction of that road that George Weah went there for. So let's be clear. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah. I was saying that I don't think that is what I heard Leo saying. What I think I heard was that his question was, didn't the United Party have anybody who was from the Southeast that could have gone there to make their presence felt before this time? But instead they waited an 11th hour. That's when I think that's what you said, Leo, right? I think that's what I honestly said.
That was correct. That was actually my
yes. Point. All along, I mean, someone should have gone there to try to make their presence felt. You don't wait for 11 hours, knowing fully well that is not your territory, Southeast. Okay, so that should have started long ago. Not Jeremiah Cone just going through a day or two and coming back. That was not enough. In my view, I think that's what my younger brother is saying there.
Okay.
That is correct.
Let me bring in Wilbert, Mrs. Brooks, then we'll go back to Leo. Fuller?
Yes. I think what the brother is saying, I tend to agree with the brother. I don't think the Unity Party campaign enough in the Southeast. And apart from campaigning, I think a party is stronger if they put up a candidate in that region. I don't know who are the candidates that they put up in the Southeast, if they did at all, or if those candidates are strong candidates. Because if those candidates are strong candidates, they attract voters to the standard bearer as well, the presidential ticket as well.
Exactly.
So I don't think they did their job in the Southeast, to be honest with you. I think despite the lack of money, but I think there was some level of entitlement. You take, for example, Lofa County. I think the people felt, Unity Party felt entitled to Lofa County because Oben Baka is from Lofa. So, and that was a mistake. I saw Jeremiah Cone when he went up there. Jeremiah Cone went, I think it was less than 10 days to the president, to the elections. So that was not enough. You are an opposition party. You do not have the resources. You don't have that leverage. So you should exploit all these areas. So I know, for example, Councilor Gongo went to all the areas, but we have to admit, I support him, but we have to admit the momentum is on Joseph Barker's side. So I think going to the second round, I think they can do better. But obviously, I can tell you this is a very difficult situation for CDC because all those people who voted for all the other candidates, I mean, they were resolved not to vote for the incumbent president. They are resolved not to vote for him. So they are likely going to vote for Joseph Barker. And this time we won't have numbers going to imaginary campaigns like the Appleton campaign, because that's imaginary to me until the results begun to come out. I never heard this man name. I think even the people in Labrador they don't know him. So this time around, they will have all those things going around. It would just be Josh Weah and Joseph Boakai. And what Josh Weah got today is most likely what he will have. I don't think he's going to get anything beyond another 2 or 3%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mrs. Brooks Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garley. Good evening, my fellow panelists. Mr. Garley, I'm hearing that the gentleman say he never heard of Mr. Appleton. You're the only one that know him, so maybe you should be sharing his videos.
Well, I'm not a campaign manager for Mr. Appleton. I'm not a campaign manager for any of these political parties, so
but
I'm sorry.
spoiler alert, this guy is a spoiler, and he came in. Nobody knows from where he came except for the few of you who know him. So it's a sad thing that we got here. As stated, they took the Southeast for granted because they feel they have it in the bag. But no one has any votes in the bag. Everyone has to work to earn the voters' credibility or earn their privilege to vote for them. So, I'm happy that we're almost at the end of this to know exactly if we're going into a runoff or not. So tomorrow we'll get the results and we'll go from there.
We'll circle back to Mr. Johnson, then we'll bring in Miss Marshall. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, first of all, let me clarify a few things here. I think, Mr. Ade, you people really sell the status of a former vice president short. And we pretend like we are talking about some unknown person who just coming into politics. The history and track record of the former vice president should wield enough influence that any political sphere that he steps in, he will automatically become a favorite, including resource mobilization, raising money, and all of it. You can tell me of JMB being vice president for 12 years, build no influence, have no friends, have no connections whatsoever, but agreed to step in a political race that is expensive no matter what, then that means you're telling us a former vice president lacks leadership, because no good leader steps into a race unprepared and just hope that the goodwill of the people will be. The goodwill of the people is not enough. In politics, you do need resources to mobilize to do the logistics. So this use of money for me, I don't buy it, because long before JMB knew he was running, I expected the Unity Party should have calculated what would it take. This is the second time the VP is running as for president, so he clearly knows what it takes. The Unity Party is a former ruling party. They know the budget of what it takes to win an election in Liberia. So for me, I'm buying. You either prepare to get in the league or you're not. Number two, let me come down to this thing that people keep saying. The United Party loves to project their best case scenario. ASHFORD, anybody that goes into a competition, you don't prepare for your best case scenario, because your best case scenario is the best thing that will happen. You prepare to deal with your worst case scenario, because if things go worse, you need to have the tightest strategy in place to deal with it. But when they go well, ASHFORD, you don't need to do much. And if God bless you and things go well. So this attitude that we keep projecting, that the momentum is on JMB's side, JMB is well positioned. This is the type of attitude in the first round that made sure that we waited until 30 days. People said, they asked for this, they didn't get it. They asked for this, they didn't get it. They did this, they didn't get it. You are a major opposition party. If you think just because people say they don't want George Weah, and George Weah won 40-something% of the vote, edging out JMB, and you think because people think things are high in Liberia, or they don't like George Weah, will be an automatic vote for JMB, you are making a big mistake.
Thank you, Leo. Mrs. Josephine, hold on, let me bring in Josephine. Josephine, today is just 1 week after the elections in Liberia. The night following the election, the folks on the side of the CDC were saying that we're getting ready for inauguration through the city mayor, Jefferson Koji, and the guys on the Unity Party side, and say, listen, no matter what these people do, we have won these elections on the first ballot, and Joseph Human Boyka is the next president of Liberia. The numbers are not saying what they said was going to happen. Now we are looking at the possible second round. I listened to Alexander Cummings yesterday. He was frustrated. He was angry. He was dissatisfied with the results, saying that the guy was so sophisticated, it makes it even harder to trace what was happening with these numbers. Now, would there be an opposition unity going into the second round? George Weah claims that he did everything right. Before becoming president, let's see, in 2017, he had 38% of the vote in the first round. Today, he's struggling neck to neck with JMB. With the opposition political parties do the right thing. They all feel that George Weah is the common elephant in the room. Ms. Marshall.
Well, thank you. Hi, good evening to the panelists. Well, in every politics with opposition, you expect what happens. As you know, the people are very eager. Everybody's fighting for their political leader. But at this crucial junction, everyone needs to come together. If you are looking at George Weah, the elephant in the room, and you want to remove him, then you definitely have to come together in order to fight this war, because no man is an island, and everyone needs the other person in order to do what they want to do to take George Weah out. And as our brother was speaking about, money in politics, indeed, you need to have money in politics. But money in politics also complicates, the system. When politicians receive large, financial contributions, from organizations, they are responsive, they are very responsible in their needs. And so what we need at this point, like I was telling the Cummings people, they did very well. For those who really try to support, some of them probably didn't do good, but he can look at this to learn from it. And we all know, we can see that the Appleton's case, that those votes were for Cummings. Okay, we would be straightforward. And so a lot of things that when he was saying UP didn't do well, was that, first of all, you have to put someone in places like the Southeastern.
Miss
Right.
Marsha, we don't know for a fact that those votes were for Cummings. We can't rather say that, you know. We don't know for a fact.
Well, you're definitely again, you're right. But if we go back and really look at these votes, and if we recounted and we went back, like the EU is saying, we definitely will find out that those votes were for Mr. Cummings. And I would say that. It's main disclaimer, and I'm saying that. So again, I would say we're in a third world country. We're in a country where we have to be prepared when it comes to elections. We have to learn from our neighboring country, especially like Sierra Leone, what happened in Sierra Leone. So going forward into second rounds, I think the opposition need to get people in the Southeastern. They need to have people pay poll watchers to oversee what is going on into the second round.
Thank you, Mr. Addy.
So let's be very clear. It's rather unfortunate, perhaps, that my friend and brother Leo may not have been on this show to watch us sell GNB. It is, in fact, very glorious. And I'm not saying that more couldn't be done. We sold GNB, and that is why this incumbent president, with all of his financial resources and the display of helicopters and the purchases of several hundred motorbikes, has still not been able to secure 50+1. We were able to get the entire country to see, by virtue of the evidence we presented against this government, that we are now going possibly to a second round. So let's be very clear. There is not a sense of arrogance. We've consistently asked for unity around all of the political parties, in the words of Mr. Cummings, who I believe certainly does not want to give leadership to Mr. George Weah, our president, as well as Mr. Gonglo. So we will do our best to ensure that we win. But projecting oneself as a winner is not strange to politics. You'd be very naive not to project yourself as a winner. It's politics. So, let's be very clear about that. It was September 19 when Jeremiah Kuhn posted on his page that the campaign for the Southeast has started. Maryland, Grand Crew, Sino, Grand Gita. He was there. There are photos. But let's be also clear that sometimes you campaigning in your opponent's stronghold doesn't mean that you're going to win that stronghold. But we did that, just for the record. And when you look at the votes in Nimba, in Grand Gita, yes, he beat us there massively. But we had some votes there. The numbers are clear. They're on the internet. Did we expect to win George Weah in Grand Gita when that particular enclave votes entirely for George Weah? But we tried there. So we did understand the nature, and we intend to do better. And hopefully by the collaboration and support of the other opposition parties, Mr. Leo, we certainly hope that we can project ourselves as the winner.
Let me bring back Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, will you turn your camera on if you are still in the back with us? And I don't know if you do agree with the argument that they have a huge presence in the Southeast to represent a unity party, as Pet Idatus added. Mr. Jackson, please unmute your device.
Yes, I do agree that there needs to be a huge presence. And not only that, the presence of prominent people, influential people who can pull the vote. Sometimes it doesn't depend on money. I must commend the Unity Party for the way they pulled Montserrado, because Montserrado traditionally has always been the stronghold of CDC. But the way, when Jairus Dillon came and took it away from them, and then this time they took 13 of the 17 districts. That is laudable. And so what we are saying, they should continue along that trend. The pattern should continue, but the only thing that should change is the pattern in the southeastern region. That's what I can conclude on. But at the end of the day, I applaud them.
What is the pattern? What is the pattern, Doc?
Well, what did you do to win Montserrado? The strategy you used to win Montserrado was laudable. I mean, it's exemplary. So you should use the same strategy and win this. Look, the thing is, you look at your strength and your weaknesses, and you use your weakness to get your strength. You knew all along, I'm assuming now, that the southeastern region was your strength. I mean, your weakness. And so I believe you should have used your strength to change that weakness to your strength. I'm just talking plainly now. I hope I'm clear.
Well,
And,
maybe
and,
that's
and,
maybe
and,
that's
and,
maybe
and the Union Party felt that, look, Lufa, we got Lufa already. Southeastern complaining about there. But don't forget that when Legends came up with the census, Legends lied. Legends falsified information. You don't have a lot of people in Grand Crew equal to Nima, you know. And so knowing that, that is where you should have, changed your strength to go and buttress or scaffold or wrap around your weakness. But
thank
again, I applaud you. You did a good job in Monterrado. Mark Gibby were in the time, Mark Gibby all over the place throwing money around. You still knock Mark Gibby up. That was good. Look at Edwin Snow. He was on the CDC side, throwing money all around. You still knocking out. That was good. But you just lost track of the Southeastern.
Yep.
That's where it even inflated the votes. Who knows that when the presidential convoy was going, they didn't have ballots in those cars? Who knows? Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
That's
So that's
that's
where we are.
you know, sometimes you made a mistake and you realize that you can never recover. Based on
right.
what we're gonna see happen now. Maybe it's gonna be Joseph Boycott Jr. in 2029 or the years to come to fix that mistake in the southeast. You never know because the old man is old. Wilbur Foley, please unmute the device, please.
Yes, actually. Yes. Um, what I see. I know. We saw Unity Party claiming victory, and I was wondering why they claimed victory so early. I was wondering if they had the data. I was wondering if they had the data already before claiming victory. But I guess we have passed that stage now. We are moving forward. So, given the case of what we have seen with things like Appleton votes, which to this date I can't. I mean, I can never believe honestly that Appleton won more votes than Cummins. I find that hard to believe. So, what the Unity Party needs to do is double down. They have to work. They don't even have LoFa. I will say this: Unity Party don't have LoFa completely, because for me the performance in LoFa was beyond below expectation. I expected more than that. Um, they need to work harder, and not just work harder, but in these elections, I think it has become it is glaring that we cannot depend on NEC anymore. Just NEC's results. So moving forward, Unity Party has to strongly rely on the poll watchers. They have to rely on the poll watchers and make sure they have their data. Because I have said it repeatedly. I mean, at one point in time, I said, hey, Liberia may share blood for Joey to leave power. I did not mean civil war. What I meant is because these guys, what they have, the damage they have caused to Liberia, I don't think they are going to leave so easily. And the people might come on the street, and there where the violence may come from. I was speaking to election violence. So Unity Party needs to double down. They need to have trusted poll watchers, and they need to get the data as quick as possible from the poll watchers right after the elections, so they can know where to stand. Because at this point now, if Abaton is coming to a place, my brother, I won't be surprised they get up tomorrow and say Joe, we has 65%.
Thank you. Okay, let me bring in Mrs. Letty Brooks Roberts. Mrs. Roberts, Mr. Jackson talked about the pardon that was used in Monserrado that gave the Unity Party uh, 13 out of 17 districts in Monserrado. He wanted them to use the same pardon in the southeast, but it was like the Unity Party and the Southeasterners were not on speaking terms, going into these elections. They totally forgot about the Southeast and they decided to just do them, thinking that
Right.
Joshua can win the whole of Southeast and will still beat him. And those are some of the
Exactly.
things that they were saying. And you can't be
Right.
complicit like that, especially when you going into an election that is as important as this one.
Yes. Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Garley. I did even hear some of the strategists um sort of make light of the southeast. Oh, we can have the southeast, and they were concentrating right there. Every vote counts. Every vote counts. And I also want to remind them that Buffer Chambers was in the southeast prior to the last 3 months. Remember where we saw him giving out money or displaying money, whatever he was doing with it. So these people knew, and most of their chronic members in the government are from the southeast, so they know where or how to lace the money or who to go through to influence the votes. And apparently that's what they did, in conjunction with what the gentleman mentioned about inflating the statistics when they did that in the southeast, because I've also heard people say that the rigging is not done the day of the election. All of these things were strategized. When we heard these gentlemen saying first round victory, and those of you who have been in the Liberian politics longer know that it hasn't happened. So why would it happen under when people are disgruntled with this leadership? So that's something that happened, like I said last night, something sinister, and we may not know exactly, but we definitely know they did something in the southeast.
Thank you, Leo. Both sides was so confident, the first round victory. I mean, as a matter of fact, they were preparing for inauguration. Yeah, we are now waiting. And I missed my man on the show tonight, Dr. Fake. He said, "Listen, no one person will win 50 plus what. There has to be a second round."
Yeah. First of all, let me just say this, and this is the very disappointing part about it that nobody's saying. United Party key people, Darius DeLon, everybody said they had all of the tally sheets and their tally sheets were accurate. Now that NEC report or election results announced are contradicting those tally sheets, isn't it the best time to produce those tally sheets to debunk NEC, to challenge NEC? You can tell us in one breath you have all of the tally sheets, and in another breath you are saying the results don't reflect the people's vote, but you still decide to hide the tally sheets from us and don't show.
Yeah.
Either you have it or you don't have it. And another thing people need to pay serious attention to, it's a bit disheartening to hear opposition leaders today calling for unity. When during the collapse of the CPP, something that could have been amicably managed, even if they were separating and going their separate ways, you didn't need to destroy each other the way you did. Going to court, guess what? Alexander Cummings could have been in jail today. Guess what? That was a very real practical possibility. Guess what? The Ures, the fallout with the Costas, the Ures, all of it. And today, you telling me, in fact, the arrogance is still on Facebook. You see people running around United Party, key officials, mocking other political leaders who apparently didn't do well, mocking them, making fool of them, throwing jabs. When you have a second round pending, and somehow mysteriously we think that there will just be some kind of opposition unity because the goal is to remove George Weah. Remove George Weah, but please don't tell the Liberian people to do it at all costs, because if the same corrupt attitudes, the same like backstabbing, the same greed attitude we're seeing, if we're saying it's okay to exhibit those same attitudes just to move George Weah, then it begs the question, what are we bringing because we want to remove George Weah? And I think it's about time for Ambassador Boakai to exercise some real leadership. At one point, the United Party campaign saying that it was running on its own steroids. Nobody was managing it. No sign of actual control. All the people who speak, everybody just speaking recklessly. I will be honest about it. I think it's about time to exercise real control to show that the United Party campaign is more sophisticated with the ambassador in charge compared to everybody running around with their own.
Thank you. I will bring him Miss Marshall, then we will go to Idatu's added. Josephine, I saw the Unity Party people running around with blue bag. We have the numbers. Our numbers are here, but we can't see the number. It remind me of this guy, man. You remember the little Charles Julu who said, "I won't play my cassette"? Just let me play my cassette. You claim to have the numbers, but we can't see the numbers. Put the numbers out there. Let the people see the number. Challenge, Nick. Since you know that you have the numbers and you've won on the first ballot, let the people know. Miss Marshall.
Yeah, I'll go back first about this number thing, but what Leo said, in every home, in every politics, in every place, there'll always be a confrontation. But that does not mean that people, what the last minute of time, that people cannot come together for a cause, and that cause is Liberia. I want to remind you that Canada said that it's what you can do for your country, not what your country can do for you. And yes, we all go through things where we make those mistakes, which is wrong, that we insult one another. Like he talked about Cummings, was going to go to prison if this, whole thing that happened. But here, we at the verge of our people. Some of us, and I always say, we are here living comfortably in America, but we are looking at our people. And what Leo said, he's right. If we're going to go back to do the same old thing, then this is not what we want. But what we're looking at is that this government is corrupt, they're doing a lot of things that are not supposed to be done. My thing here is that the killing, of our people, of our boys, okay, of the three little boys that were killed, auditors. I mean, all those things that go in the country, Liberia has been so far away from I would say civilization, from everyone else. And so we need to get together for a new Liberia. And like we're all saying that all these things coming into politics, insulting one another and doing all the things, it's rhetoric. But we need to get to the point, like Leo say, that we can come together, even whether if it's a last minute of time thing, Liberians can still come together. Now to talk about the votes. Yes, they were claiming, UP was claiming one round. Okay, they understood that Liberian people were tired and they were giving the vote. But yet, and still, like everybody's saying, they should have kept their eyes. You'll never know. You cannot say a one round victory. You have, again, I said this is third world country. There's always going to be a cheating, somebody in power wants to taste power. They don't want to leave power. So again, like I said, all we need to focus on now, or what the Liberian people need to focus on, because you want them to go back to revote second round. You need to check, if you have to even check ballot boxes before people start to vote, you have to check all the ballot boxes. You have to have someone on scenes to make sure that these people are voting. Now is the time for you to, like Leah and everybody else was saying, and Mr. Jackson, this is the time for you to sow your political leader. And like I said in the beginning, everybody need to remove from cursing and attacking and all these things. You need to sow. And one of the things that NEC had made a mistake is that they need to start going back to start educating people in Liberia, because the education rate in Liberia is very low. So you're going to have a mother who does not know about voting. You did not educate these people. NEC did not do their job, did not do what was necessary for these people. And then you come and say, oh, this is what is going on. And I follow the numbers. I follow the trend. I understand Georgia had this Southeastern, but it's impossible that someone has 21,000, okay, example, and someone have 1,000, but yet in Lofa, he has 43,000, and someone else has 93,000. I can understand you say 10,000, but 1,000, and then you saying that Mr. Cummings did work hard. I don't know about Abington. I don't know where he came from, where he worked. I can't say that he didn't work. We didn't hear about him. So those are the people that were looking at the race. I'm not a ANC or CPP, person, but what I'm saying is let's open our eyes and be real here. This man worked very hard. And so those votes that they call it, again, I would say those votes were Cummings votes. And so what I'm saying to you, yes, they felt that they were going to go one round, but if you would have just start celebrating and concentrate where you need to concentrate, things will go the right way. So now for UP or whoever, and to go now for the second round, they have to be smart. They have to make sure nobody's going to take ballots and go put it in a convoy. No. And they have to talk.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall.
I said it to the EU, to the Americans, to their neighboring countries to really watch the election for second round.
Mr. Addis, I know you have a few responses, but on top of that, I want you to please respond to this. That tell us about the impact of the voter education, if there was any. How can you come and say 117,000 ballots were invalid? I mean, are you telling us that our people 117,000 people don't know what they're doing. Is that what you're telling us, Mr. Ade?
Right. And Asheville, these are some of the things that got people scratching their head because there are some things that do not make sense. But certainly the Ambassador Joseph Imamboyka did do a video in his attempt to educate Liberians concerning how to vote. And that video was trending all over the internet. We distributed it as much as possible. But let's be very clear. There is this, mindset that insinuates we don't have proof to show that next numbers are inconsistent. By the way, we'll be doing a press conference tomorrow, and I encourage all of you to listen to the official response to these results.
To tell us that you have the numbers again.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that. I just encourage all of you to please follow the press conference. I think it's just too soon to start jumping the gun and accusing us of lying when you haven't listened to our press conference. So let's be also very clear on how these numbers were reported. These numbers were not reported by precinct. They were reported by polling stations, thus making it a bit difficult to chase the numbers to its accuracy in regard to what NEC was reporting. Let's be very clear. In these elections, the NEC boss stated, she had to be reminded that she left out Bapolu. Our party has done significantly well in trying to hold the NEC to its feet. So make no mistake, we are determined and we'll continue to do what needs to be done. On the issue as to whether or not the Honorable Joseph Boyka has shown leadership with respect to the CPP, let's be clear, we are not going back, and we understand the division that has happened in the past, but Liberia is bigger than our past personal political animosity, and that is why we're calling for unity from the perspective of the reality that currently exists. There's two parties potentially that are going for these elections, so we can live in the nostalgia of the past and how to resolve it. Please make no mistake, in these United States we live, primaries are conducted and people fight to the teeth. So what I've observed from the Honorable Joseph Imamboyka is that he has not ever in any way, shape, or form insulted or criticized any candidate in the opposition other than George Weah. Make no mistake, many of the candidates, the likes of Tiawan Gonglo, Simeon Freeman, among others, have been criticizing him, but he's maintained his leadership role and he's demonstrated a complete dignity in working out this campaign to the point where folks say he needs to take leadership. But do not forget, in the CPP, there were 4 co-equals that managed the CPP. So those who wanted him to do more than he could have done, he couldn't have control over Ben Ayuri, who single-handedly decided to sue Mr. Cumming because he personally believed that his signature was being violated. Not to go back in the past, don't forget that it was the ANC folks who stated that Mr. Boyka should not be deposed at home. He should go to court, and he went to court respecting the law to testify as to whether or not the document that was before him was true or false. And he did that and went back home. He has to respect the law. So stop acting as if to say this was personal. Yes, they were co-equals in the same political party, but let's not relitigate the past, because we all have our personal opinions about who was right from who was wrong. As I close, ASHFORD, let's be very clear. Liberia is at a critical juncture. We can sit here and relitigate the past, but if we truly believe that Liberia must move on, we need to move on for the greater good.
Hold that for your closing statement. Hold that for your closing statement. Well, folks, I want to say a big thanks to all of you for taking the time of your busy schedule just to form part of the show tonight. We'll now begin taking closing statements, starting up with Blanca J. Jackson. Give us 1 minute in closing as we prepare to leave tonight. Mr. Jackson.
Okay, thank you very much, ASHFORD. I want to congratulate the Unity Party for going as far as they have gone. But I also want to caution them that they should be more vigilant. Convoys can take ballot boxes with ballots in them. If I were a poll watcher or an NEC president planted at your stronghold, each ballot I give to someone who I know will vote for you, I will devalidate it. I will put a mark on it so that it can become an invalid vote. And if that person is illiterate, they will go and vote, and your votes will be invalid. That's another way of doing it. I want you to be more watchful. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll bring him, Wilbert Foley. Closing statement, please. 1 minute.
Yes, I will start off by also commending the Unity Party for such a strong performance. I think they did a very good job. They did well, I mean, in terms of numbers, but they had some shortcomings, and I hope that they can work on it. As for me, looking at the invited votes and Appleton, that I mean that leads me to question NEC's integrity. I mean, in all honesty, there's no day that I will believe that some unknown Appleton will have more votes than Alexander Cummings, Gongo, or even Clarence Monoba. So what this shows is that something is not right at NEC. So the Unity Party needs to be more vigilant in the second round and ensure that every vote, all the tally sheets are collected. I'm repeating this. All the tally sheets are collected, and they are vigilant at the polling stations and make sure that those boxes are empty. And Unity Party needs to campaign more. Omen Barker needs to get out there more in the southeast, especially in local county. His own county, local county, I think he can do better with all the other distractions of the tape or of the ballot. It's just here, George here. I am convinced that the Unity Party is going to win this election.
Thank you. We'd like to recognize Pape Flomo. He's on here tonight. Task Connett is also on here. Princess Johnson. How you all doing tonight? You should be having a great time. And we'll now go to Leo Johnson for his closing statement. Leo, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Ashford. As someone who made a conscious decision to not support any political party, and for the record, the LPP, the ANC, the UP actually reached out. And I asked them for their financials as stated under the election laws that all political parties are supposed to produce financials. And none of them were able to send it to me till today's date. I'm still waiting. So I made a conscious decision that at the end of the day, when you go to the ballot box, you have to vote for one. You vote for one of the people on the ballot, but they did not do what was needed for me to go out there in the public and put my reputation. If you want to come to power, you have to be doing the budget. You can't keep financials for your small political party that you're managing. Then it begs me to ask the question, how can I trust what you would do when you get there? So as someone who's been in that role, what I would say to people is this: to the Unity Party, stop going after everybody else that you think is against you. Focus on reigning some control over the bulldogs and everyone that's out there on behalf of the Unity Party, insulting anybody that disagrees, insulting anybody that criticizes, insulting anybody and going after them viciously. Till to this date on Facebook, there are still people that have been recognized in the Unity Party as key campaigners on Facebook, insulting anybody that says anything critical. And two, let me say it to everybody, the danger that looms over second round is that people can choose to stay home. We've seen it before. People can choose that, you know what, my interest not in it anymore. Let the people do what they want to do, and you get a low turnout. That could be dangerous for President Weah. It could be dangerous for VP Joseph Boakai. So to the Unity Party, for you to win an election, it will not happen by demoralizing anybody that criticizes you or anybody that doesn't think you should be there. Actually, those are the people you should be engaging more and showing them grace in this type of election, because guess what? When you win, you don't stop making it to look like you are winning only for the people who support you. When you win, you must govern everybody, especially the people who did not support you. You have a responsibility to show them what they will benefit if you win, even though they do not support you. Stop demoralizing them now before it look like you hunt them. Because
thank you, Leo. Okay, closing statement. Let us go to Letty Brooks Robert. You know, anybody that wants to get good vibe from Mrs. Angela Kessel, who just say good thing about Unity Party. Okay, Mrs. Roberts, your closest statement.
Oh wow, that's not good. But again, sorry that I was late tonight, especially with such a splendid array of
that's why
panelists.
that's why it was not good. Go ahead.
Self-preservation, Mr. Garley. But anyway, I'm honored to be on the same stage. I miss my sister friend Josephine. Welcome, Leo. Of course, Mr. Wilbur. Great having you all back. in closing, as we, learn and move forward, we should all learn that, as someone stated, no one is an island, right? And we are all working for the same common goal, a better Liberia. So if we're going to do that, we should, stop this bickering. Yes, it's true. It's a great thing to debate the issues, but it's another thing to denigrate people, for little things. Facebook was not made for that. It was made for us to connect positively and not just, putting these innuendos on Facebook, two statements, I want to cry, and we stated this before the elections that people that are in credible positions with these parties should know how to act, because tomorrow we may need each other. And here we are today. Now people are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to vote," and that's not good, or I'm not going to support, because we want to get rid of this incumbent, and we know that they're not good for the country, and we know that they have the state resources. So if we don't work together, we all lose.
Thank you. Mrs. Marshall, closing statement, please.
Thank you. Again, I go to Leah because I'm really, I like his conversation. Wides, I agree with you, but I also want you to understand that when you talk about the political arena in Liberia, every political party were insulting one another. We came from a war that I would say 98 of the people in Liberia, or 99% of the people, never got counseling. We need to get away. Again, like I said, Liberia is 100 and something years old. We are one of the oldest country. Okay. And so, like my sister just said, we need to come together no matter what. Teeth and tongue, say in a Liberian way, can fuss, but yet they work together. Okay. So going forward, someone said, like you said, oh, people will say they're not coming in to vote. Wait, I always say that because you know what? I have kids, we have family. Every one of us that's sitting here have family in Liberia. And so if we go into the point that, oh, people say they're not going to vote, oh, this person was insulting, we're talking about a new and a better Liberia. The Liberian people eyes are opening. And so to all the Liberians, brothers, sisters, mother, it is your future. It is your life. So get out and vote, not because you hate someone. Because if I hate someone, but they are doing something, I will support that. Yet what I'm saying to you, this is your life. This is your life. If you feel that you've been in Liberia for 6 years and the country is good for you and what they're doing are good, go ahead and vote George Weah. But if you know your future, you're looking at your future, nothing was good, your children are not in school, they're not eating, it's all about political leaders, you can decide your vote. And moving forward, you're going to hold whoever becomes president. You got to hold them to the fire. And we are seeing our people more and more, their eyes are open and know what they want. And you can tell that Liberians are tired because you could tell from the voting of this election that Liberian people are tired. Liberians, I want to say to you all over the different counties in Liberia, please go out and vote. Vote your future. Vote because your boy child somewhere out there is dying. Your daughter is dying. They're not in school. If some kind of politician or some grown man have to sleep with them in order to give them money, let's have a better Liberia. A Liberia that would be able to hold their leaders to the fire. Moving forward, even if you elected UP, if you elected UP, like everybody's saying, they all need to come together. Mr. Kuhlman need to come on board. Everybody needs to work for a better Liberia. I love you, but God first. Let's put God first. Let us put hatred aside and go out there and vote for the right.
You need to call to the Unity Party War Room to deliver this message to them. They need to hear it more.
Thank you.
Before Mr. Adi, can I just say
hold on, Mrs. Robert. I'll bring you after everybody closes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Adi.
My fellow Liberians, members of the CDC, the ANC, LINU, Conglo's party, we're at a crucial juncture. I know there are many of you who are like Leo. They may be upset for the race fought hard, the passions, among several other things. But I certainly want you to know that Liberia's future is bigger than the egos we've shared, the passions during this race. Our future is at stake, not just for us who live in America, but for the generation in Liberia and the ones unborn. We know this fight was fought hard, but I certainly know that I did not hear Mr. Cummings insult Joseph Boyka, neither did I hear Joseph Boyka insult Mr. Cummings. These two men fought a good fight with dignity and pizzazz. We, the surrogates, at times have felt victims of our own passions when we've hurt one another. But at the end of the day, the reality is pragmatic. We got two candidates who are running. It's the Unity Party and CDC. There are some things that we could have done better in the Southeast, but we did not do it. We have a chance to make it right. It is our hope in the Unity Party that the likes of Leo will put aside all of the bad things that were said as we fought to be first or second. To join together, let's build a Liberia, in the words of late William R. Talbot, a wholesome functioning society. A society where your children can enjoy the very things we enjoyed when we were growing up. Those who will be deciding these elections, the civil servants, those in the military, the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, among several others, those of us who are in the diaspora. If we do not have a recount and we're going for the second round, if Liberia is bigger than our egos, a decision needs to be made. We fought a good fight. We hurt each other. But there is always a moment of reconciliation. Liberia was founded on the Christian principles, and forgiveness is karma to who we are as a people. We may differ in our opinions. We may differ in our political support. But let's be very clear. Do not stay home and vote. Your decision to stay home and vote could determine whether or not you remain in poverty or prosperity tomorrow. And Joseph Iman Boyka may be the instrument for this reality, but his presidency is bigger than the future of Liberia. And I want you to know that this movement is beyond a personality, but a vision that will give everybody an opportunity to live in a secure Liberia. A Liberia where quality education can become your personal possession, where good health care can become your reality, where our passports will not be sold, where you know for a fact you can boast about Liberia and not Ghana. But this is Liberia that we imagine, and this Liberia is possible. At the moment, we live in a dystopian society. Poverty on the rise, insecurity on the rise. This is an opportunity to make the difference. And Leo, I specifically called your name because I'm hoping that in spite of all of the hurts that may have been caused, you still, as a young man, have an opportunity to make this generation the very inspiration you're looking for a Liberia that is bigger than our egos, to become one nation indivisible under God with liberty and justice for all. I'm counting on you as a young man, smart, intelligent, with vision, to encourage your people to make a decision now, because our democracy is an experiment. The hope lies within the vote. Peace over violence is what we all want. Let's bury the hatchet for a greater Liberia. Thank you.
And why you people did not bring all of
Leo, hold on. Letitia Debo run for president one day. I just well, you wanted to say something, Leo? I will give all of you guys just 1 minute before we go on tonight. The shortest.
Leo.
We're having a discussion now.
I'm just enjoying the messaging now. That's switching.
The ball. He took good.
And to be honest with you, I'm not upset. I keep telling people, some of us have decided to switch from politicking to nation building. No president, even JMB even Jesus were running and become president. Jesus cannot change Liberia problems in 6 years. Nobody should fool themselves. Even JMB wins, because what is needed to be in place.
Leo, as a Liberian, we will always be optimistic. Our country is not perfect, but we'll try to make the difference.
But I'm not disagreeing.
The vision of the reconstruction of Liberia is not just one person, it's all of us, Leo.
Yeah, my
so
brother.
That level of pessimism needs to change, because Liberia will not be built by strangers, but by we ourselves.
I just came from Liberia. Some of us have been focused on nation building for the past 20 years, and the results.
Then let's encourage the inspiration. Let's make the difference. Let's make the difference.
The men were just speaking here for 5 minutes. I kept quiet.
No, bro. We are all taking our closing statement. You want to rewind the argument again?
Anyway,
no rewind.
I will just say to everybody, like I said, some of us have
come next Monday.
Some of us have switched to a nation building, regardless who wins. If JMB win, I will be the first in Liberia to work with the JMB government to make sure I contribute.
Thank you.
If George Weah wins, I will still be in Liberia. Whoever wins the election, we can work with you. We'll work behind you. We can work behind you. We'll work under you.
But please vote. Please vote.
Liberia going. So
please vote.
Leo, I think Jesus will make a difference. I defer you on that part. Jesus will make a difference.
Jesus
will make a difference.
No,
How?
Jesus will make a difference. I disagree.
How will he do it?
Well,
Jesus,
beat
Jesus
up
is God,
everything.
man.
How?
You beat up everybody.
Jesus is God.
Jesus is
But
God.
Jesus is God.
But God doesn't do voodoo. God says if you gain quality, He multiplies it.
But you
Leo,
cannot
Leo,
do voodoo.
Leo, 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 you
You
don't want to
cannot
No.
go
do
there.
voodoo.
Just disregard that
Yeah.
discussion.
Forget Jesus.
There are
that's a
several
whole
things that
different
are better.
argument for
But
another
Liberia,
time.
Liberia needs miracle.
Okay,
Liberia needs miracle.
let's forget the election and
So
go.
Jesus, no, Jesus will perform miracles. So let's leave Jesus on there.
Okay, if
Well,
you look
Jesus is not corrupt.
Actually, I give it
okay,
back to
well,
you.
okay,
I
well,
say
ladies and
what I have
gentlemen,
to say.
Letty, you have something to say?
Yes. In closing too, one of the things I wanted to state, to the Unity Party or whomever are going for the second round, I suggest, and I'm sure that was done, but it needs to be, there should be a commission of the opposition that will be in control of the counting of the ballots. Before you start, you should have a count, and at the end, what's used should equal what is left, and that's another way of curbing the fraud. Thank you so much. You put me in trouble.
Greatest all the time I have to be with you. God willing, we'll be back here next Monday, same time, same place. Until then, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Tough times don't last, tough people do. The heart of a person is never known until he rises, because there's no second chance to make that first impression. What people think about you and the possibility of your dream, it's none of your business. Let them worry about it. When somebody said no to you, remember they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves. They're saying no to living a bigger life. They're saying no to what is going on in their head because they're suffering from possibility of blindness. I'm ASHFORD GARLEY. Have a good night.
Pase siminga motema mama alingi boye